Good evening, Washington Courthouse. It is 7:30 p.m. on January 12th, 2022. This is the first regular meeting of January and the first meeting of 2022. Before we have our invocation and pledge, a member of council has asked me for an executive session this evening. Since it is not on the agenda, we need to amend the agenda. If council wishes to go into executive session, we need to amend. So I need a motion to amend the agenda to add an executive session for the purpose of talking about personnel.
I make a motion that we amend the agenda.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Caleb seconds. Roll call, please.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
No.
Hawk.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. So we have amended the agenda. Having done that, we will now start with the invocation by Mr. Hawk and the pledge led by Ms. Hernandez.
Heavenly Father, I thank you that we can come to you and bring our petitions to you. And tonight we ask that you would be with us as we meet and deliberate. I pray that you would help us to do your will. I pray that you would help us to do what's best for the city and its citizens. And I ask this in your name. Amen.
Please join me. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ted and Kendra. Roll call, please.
Blair.
Yes, here.
Chrisman.
Here.
Hawk.
Here.
Hernandez.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Schultz.
Here.
Lynch.
Here. We have two sets of minutes to approve. The first one from the regular council meeting on December 20th, 2021. Does anybody have any corrections, changes, etc. to those minutes? Not, do I hear a motion to accept them?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes from 12:20.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. We also have the council reorganization meeting on January 3rd, 2022. Does anybody see anything that needs to be changed, altered there? Not, do we have a motion to accept those minutes?
I make a motion that we accept the reorganization meeting minutes of January the 3rd.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Roll call.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. Mr. Denon, do we have any communications?
None.
We have no reports of council committees because we haven't met as yet. So we are to Mr. Denon's report for the evening.
Thank you. And first thing I wanted to point out to you is an article from a publication, Food Industry Executive, that talks about Washington Courthouse and Plastilini, which we're very pleased will be locating in the industrial park and establishing not only a production facility, but a research and development facility. And that is something that we're incredibly proud of, and we welcome Plastilini, and we'd like to see a little bit of recognition like this. If citizens could please discard of old, formerly live Christmas trees in the parking lot of Iman Park, absent Christmas decorations, That's appreciated. We're happy if they deposit them down there. We will stop down with the chipper and get rid of them. Artificial trees don't go through the chipper very well. So those you just need to pack up, put in your attic, garage, storage shed, somewhere like that, because they just don't chip very well. Would like to talk about, and this is incredibly non-political, would like to thank the folks at the hospital. They've had shortages of staff like everybody else because of COVID. And they have been working incredibly hard under very difficult circumstances. And to those doctors and those nurses and all the hospital staff folks out there, I would like to express sincere gratitude for how well, under very difficult circumstances, they have performed, and just my appreciation that they have done a wonderful job. COVID staffing issues within the city. We've had a number of people test positive and quarantined, so that means that we have been, in many areas, very thin in our numbers. We've adjusted to all those situations, though, and have continued to maintain the services that we always maintain. But it's been very difficult for a number of folks that we've had to shuffle around a little bit. E and F are typographical errors. Finance and personnel, I'd like to request that we have a meeting next week. In particular, there has been considerable discussion about the golf course and its future, and we need some direction from a committee of council about proceeding forward. There's a number of questions with the county that are outstanding concerning finances that we need to talk about and resolve. As my recollection, Monday would be a holiday. Is Tuesday a viable day?
It is for me. What time, I guess? What's best for you, Kendra? Time-wise?
It would be after work. Would be better for me.
What
But-
time do you think that would be?
But then I have, I guess 4 would be best because then I have responsibility starting at 6.
4 would be fine for me also, if it wouldn't be too late, but.
Tuesday at 4 o'clock?
Could I address my social person? She's got the calendar back there. Are we clear on that?
She says yes.
His
Thanks.
social secretary.
Caleb,
Yeah.
what about you?
That works for me. That's the 18th, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Mr. Chrisman?
That's fine.
Mr. Hawk?
Yes.
Okay.
You send us something out to that?
I will.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Would like to compliment the Fayette County Commissioners for their preliminary design of where the jail has been demolished. That is the larger piece of paper in front of you.
Mine's
And-
upside, oh no, it didn't.
And that is something that we are displeased as punch about. I think that will be a considerable asset to the community. And also, you don't think of it as this early in the year, but the Scarecrow Committee began the planning process for the Scarecrow Festival. And we are enormously excited about that, and we'll be happy that will return to us. And we have commenced the planning process for that.
Thank you. I've had a lot of questions about that, so I was gonna ask that, so thank you very much.
On the agenda, you have the jail contract, which comes over from the county. We're very happy with that. Years ago, that used to be a considerable point of contention between city and county, but we worked that out, and it works very well for all parties concerned, and we're very pleased with that. That's what I got to talk about.
Mr. Dennis, when are the Scarecrow dates?
Scarecrow Festival, Kelly, can you help me out with dates?
16
September?
Yes.
16th, 17th.
Thank you very
18th
much.
She'll make
September.
Yes, there'll be an official news release done within the next week.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you. Good.
Any questions for Mr. Denon other than that? All right, thank you, sir. We obviously have no finance director at this time. Mr. Pitstick?
I have no report tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We don't have anyone signed up to speak. I think an important part of any government class is local government, so I obviously have allowed my students to get extra credit again this semester. So at this point, starting over here, would you like to introduce yourself, Caden?
My name's Caden Schultz.
What was the last name, sir?
Schultz.
Thank you.
And
I'm Blake Walker, or Dale Lynch's troublemaker.
and Reese.
I'm Reese Self, good student in the class.
Soft.
He's the best one in the class.
They are all juniors and all very good students, I would add. Okay, thanks you guys for coming.
Thank you.
We have no legislation previously introduced. We have new legislation. We have one. It would be resolution number R1, that's funny to say,
Yeah.
2022, and it's first reading.
Well, I'll move to put resolution R1, 2022 on first reading.
Second.
Do we have any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I did have a couple of questions about the agreement, the jail agreement. What does the out-of-county or county and out of the area people pay per day to house
The
them?
county has a number of agreements with other jails. It would be significantly more than what we pay. Because typically, Jim, we arrest people under, the Ohio Revised Code, in which case we don't have an obligation. Now, if you arrest somebody under a city ordinance, then you really have a financial obligation. Typically, with a typical city prisoner, the only thing that we occasionally incur are some medical expenses.
Okay. And on number 2, it says the city will pay 1/2 of the total yearly maintenance contract. How much is that?
On the fingerprint machine,
It doesn't says live scan machine.
yeah. That's where they do like the equivalent of like the CAT scan thing before they bring them in. Off the top of my head, I wanna say it's about $3,000.
Our part. would
Yeah.
be- And the only other thing I had noticed was back on the next page on item 10. I'm not sure that first sentence starts off, it says city serves may request workers. What is that really supposed to say?
It's supposed to say city service department. That's the way it came over from the county. When we send it back, it'll be corrected.
Okay,
We can request prisoners for different tasks from the jail.
okay. And one last, one on the last page, item B. Well, not B, no, the next down, water and sewer charges. Is that just kind of a goodwill thing the city's doing with the county to just give them the water and sewage?
Well,
free?
essentially, when that contract, before that contract was put together, we paid the county on average about $100,000 a year. And it turned it into about a $15,000 expense, and the county requested water and sewer charges, which was an easy thing for us to do.
Okay. I think that's it. I think that's all I seen that I was kind of curious about. Thank you for the answers and,
All right. Anybody have any other questions or comments? All right, I think we've had a motion and second, so roll call.
Blair,
yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Resolution
number R1-2022, a resolution authorizing Joseph J. Dennett, city manager of the city of Washington courthouse, to enter into an agreement with Fayette County for the confinement of prisoners.
Very good. Okay, we are to miscellaneous. Mr. Hawk.
Well, I want to welcome el grupo plastilene, lo importante lo que llevamos dentro. That's their logo, and if they live up to that, it'll be a good thing. And I think it's a good thing. I was opposed to our agreement with them, but I worked on that project, and there's no dead bodies buried in the footer or anything. But looks like quite a deal out there.
It is.
It's got a big footprint. That's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Chrisman.
I'd like to wish everybody a good new year. I hope it's a happy one. I'm not gonna say I hope it's better than last year, because I said that last year before. I'd like to welcome the students, glad to see you. And also, I would like to congratulate Mr. Lynch and Mr. Schultz. I think that's, I'll probably have something else I'll probably forgot, so that's that.
Okay, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you to everyone who came today. And I suppose, I don't know what's gonna happen next year, as Mr. Chrisman said, but I hope it is better. I know it's out of our control, but you know, I think optimism is good, so thank you.
I'm with you. Mr. Blair.
Okay, I would like to thank everybody for coming, and acknowledge my wife and Jennifer. And if you'll allow me the luxury, I'll be a little long on my miscellaneous, but not past the 10-minute limit, okay?
Thank you.
Since this is the first time of the year, I wanted to, it's kind of like my my own personal state of the city, but I would like to see happen, so here we go. As we enter a new year, it is with high expectations and hope that this will be the best year yet for our community. While the COVID and its related offshoots have impacted and still is impacting many in our community, and we do have a responsibility to remain vigilant and protective of our families, friends, and neighbors, we still must not live in fear. Just look around, and it won't be long until you can sing the songs to an old hymn, count your blessings, name them one by one. I am sure each of us can find more than one thing to be thankful for. I am both humbled and excitedly challenged by the trust placed in me to chair the Finance Personnel Committee. I look forward to working with my fellow councilpersons on this committee, Jim Chrisman and Ted Hawk, our chairman of council, Dale Lynch, co-chairman Steve Schultz, and each of the other members of city council and our city manager, Joe Denon. Obviously, our goals as a city cannot be achieved by myself or by our committee exclusively, but will require each one of you council members and city administration officials to offer up support and input, working together toward reaching those goals. I encourage each of you to reach out to me with any concerns or ideas you may have. I will value and respect every opinion. This being my first go-around in this capacity, I ask for your support, patience, and input as we strive together to meet the needs of our citizens. As in any business or enterprise, we won't always have the same priorities or goals, but once the goals are set, let's pledge to work together to achieve those goals. Let's begin a new chapter in city politics by dismissing the attitude so prevalent in our nation, that of the sin of divisiveness. This current political climate is like a cancer rampaging through the body of our country, destroying families and relationships. Unchecked, it will destroy us. As one author titled in his book, America, You're Too Young to Die. Let us strive toward unity by agreeing to disagree amicably while working to achieve our citizen-directed goals. Let's let our words be few and our actions many, showing our citizens and employees that we are not just another group throwing out empty promises without having any intention to really live up to what we say. I pledge to do my best to help make Washington Courthouse a safe, secure, and transparent place for our employees to work. A place where they can offer up constructive ideas to their administration and feel they are really being heard without any fear or reprisal. The fundamental freedom of speech is a high priority of mine. I only ask that that speech be constructive and respectfully carried out. Let's pledge as a council that our goals will reflect the priorities of all of our citizens. Let's listen to every voice from our community, not just those that are affluent or have a high standard of living. Many great ideas have come from those who traditionally stay in the background and are not given the chance to have their voices heard. Only when we can adhere to these principles can we truly say that we are servants of the people who elected us to this trusted position for such a time as this. Let's live up to our calling. Let us go down as the council who changed Washington Courthouse. Then we can focus on changing the world. In closing, I challenge us as council and you as citizens. Let's be that shining city on a hill that shines out to the community and the world as a beacon of hope in this dark age. Let's make a positive difference. Thank you, and God bless America. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Ms. Hernandez?
Just welcoming everybody, and Jennifer, I'm glad to have you back.
Mr. Schultz?
No, you guys. Well, I want to welcome everybody, and I hope it'll be a very productive year, 2022, for the city council in the city of Washington Courthouse. I think we're off to a good start, and we'll continue working on things. And you know, I want to ask you three guys back in the back see if you ever watched very many movies. This is a quote from a movie. We all know the truth. More connects us than separates us. But in times of crisis, the wise build bridges and the foolish build barriers. You know what movie that's from? The Black Panther. Interesting, huh? Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. My intention for this year is to say very little in miscellaneous. I'll let you guys, gals, say it. I would, however, like you to think about, and at our next meeting, think about a time when we can have a goal-setting meeting for council. Obviously, budgets are set for this year, but we can still set goals, and not just for this year, but for future. And so be thinking about not only when we could do that, and we'll decide at the next meeting later in January, but also what goals you might like to talk about with council members. I've always been a believer that you have the most success when you set goals. And so I would like us to do that as we start this new year. And that'll probably be the most I say in the miscellaneous section. But I want to give you a heads up and want you to think about that for the next meeting when we can do it and what you might want to include. Okay, with that being said, before we adjourn, we need a motion to go into executive session. So even though we changed the agenda, we still need a motion to go into executive session. So would somebody like to make that motion?
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. And roll call.
Blair.
Yes?
Chrisman.
No.
Hawk.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. So we are now in executive session. And so,